that it was actually you who was yelling at Mr. Depp.
Again, I've heard a lot of people say a lot of things to be involved in the Johnny Depp show, but he wasn't there.
Wow.
He doesn't know. And he certainly doesn't know what happened behind closed doors.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to another edition of IDRYB Reacts, a very special edition, as today we are going to be going through the final cross and rebuttal testimony of Amber Heard that she will say in this entire trial. Let's get into it.
This has been very hard for you. So let's talk about that.
Hello.
Why? Your lies have been exposed to the world multiple times, right?
I haven't lied about anything I've been here to say.
You didn't lie about anything. Come on, Amber.
You sat here and told this jury that the events in Hicksville started with Mr. Depp getting really upset about a woman leaning on you. Is that correct?
Yes, that's effectively what happened, yeah.
You testified that he actually grabbed that woman's wrist and twisted it, right?
And told her that he could effectively break her wrist by saying he knew how many pounds of pressure, asking her how many pounds of pressure it took to break a human wrist.
But your own witness, your former best friend, Rocky Pennington, she didn't corroborate that, did she?
I'm not quite sure what part of that night she saw. There were a lot of people there.
She didn't testify that Mr. Depp grabbed anyone's wrist in Hicksville.
Again, I don't know what Rocky saw. There were a lot of people there that night.
You testified that once you brought Mr. Depp back to your trailer, he trashed it, correct?
That is correct.
And the manager of the Hicksville trailer park was furious that Johnny had wrecked the whole thing. Do you remember that testimony?
That's correct.
Well, we heard from that manager of the Hicksville trailer park, Morgan Knight, on Monday, didn't we?
I'm not quite sure who that guy was or if he had any involvement in this. I know a lot of people have come out of the woodwork to be involved.
See, a court of law is not Twitter. Just because you can kind of spin things and make it seem a certain way and have other people think something about it, that's not how court works. The man testified that he works there, that he was working there that night, and he witnessed what went on there. And not only that, but that you, Amber, were the initiator in all of this.
Accusing Mr. Knight of testifying and committing perjury?
I'm not accusing anyone. I just don't recognize that man.
You heard Mr. Knight testify that it was actually you who was upset with Mr. Depp spending time away from him. Isn't that correct?
How would he know? He wasn't there.
You heard Mr. Knight testify that it was actually you who was yelling at Mr. Depp.
Again, I've heard a lot of people say a lot of things to be involved in the Johnny Depp show, but he wasn't there.
Wow.
He doesn't know. And he certainly doesn't know what happened behind closed doors, like most people.
And what a convenient answer to just act like anybody who says anything that doesn't go to your story. Oh, how would they know? I don't know. They don't know. How would they know? Because they were there. They testified under oath. And unlike you, that actually means something to people, meaning you can't lie. Not to say that people don't lie under oath, of course, but...
You're calling Mr. Knight a liar?
I am saying he wasn't there, and what he testified to doesn't match what I know happened. But I don't fault him. He wasn't there, so how would he know?
He testified he was there, Ms. Heard. Did you hear that?
That's his testimony, yes.
So you're calling him a liar?
I'm just saying he wasn't there.
So, yes, you're calling him a liar.
You heard Mr. Knight testify that the trailer wasn't trashed, and that's why you're calling him a liar.
He testified that a light fixture was broken, similar to the way that
yes,
Johnny's
other than a light
employees
fixture. That was
testified
the
to
only
my
thing that was
closet
broken,
being
right,
rearranged
Ms. Heard?
and things
Ms.
like
Heard?
that.
Camille is not taking shit today. If Amber's not on the question, if Amber's trying to ramble, Camille is right there keeping her on track. This is what she should have been doing in the last cross. Not that she didn't do a great job, but this is what we need to do. Nail her down to these yes or no answers. Are you calling him a liar or are you not calling him a liar? The man testified that he was there. So if you, Amber, are saying that he was not there, either you are lying or he is lying. So if you don't want to say that he's lying, that leads the jury to believe...
The only thing that was broken in the trailer, according to Mr. Knight, was a light fixture. Yes or no?
I realized that he summed it up by saying a light fixture was broken, just the way his security guard summed up him trashing my closet as being rearranged.
Your Honor, I'm going to move to strike everything after he summed it up, that it was a light fixture.
Get her.
Again, she already knows where this question is going, so she's already trying to change the narrative.
That's non-responsive.
Did you answer the question, Your Honor?
Overruled.
In the security guard testimony, Your Honor?
I'll allow it. Go ahead.
Mr. Knight also testified that he charged Mr. Depp only $62 for the damaged light fixture. You heard that, correct?
I did.
In Hicksville, you were the only one that was jealous that Mr. Depp was spending time from other people. Isn't that correct, Ms. Heard?
That is incorrect.
In Hicksville, you were the one who was upset that Mr. Depp wasn't giving you enough attention.
Incorrect again.
Ms. Heard, you told this jury that you had no idea the press was going to be at the courthouse when you got your TRO on May 27th, 2016. Do you remember that testimony?
I said I did not have anything to do with it. Yes.
No. My question again. You told this jury that you had no idea that the press was going to be outside after you got the ex-party TRO on May 27th, 2016. Do you remember that testimony?
I apologize. I must have misunderstood, Ms. Vasquez.
Misunderstood? Did you really misunderstand, or are you just buying time trying to think of more lies?
I actually had no idea whether they were going to be there or not. When I walked into the courtroom that day, it was completely quiet, still, empty. Even though I had given Johnny's team notice that I was filing the
Objection.
TRO,
Your Honor, this is not
we had no
responsive.
reason to
Move to
believe that
strike.
press knew.
And Your Honor, I would also ask that you instruct the witness to please stop talking once I lodge an objection.
Your Honor, she's
Facts.
trying to answer the question as best she can, and Ms. Vasquez is misrepresenting to her what she testified to.
I'll strike the last part as non-responsive.
Honor.
Just if you could just answer the questions asked. Okay, thank you, Ms. Hurd.
In fact, you testified that you were, quote, shocked when you saw press when you were leaving the courthouse. Yes?
Yes,
You weren't shocked at all, though, were you?
incorrect. It was
You knew the press
horrifying.
would be at the courthouse, right, Ms. Hurd?
No,
Well, you did bring your publicist to the courthouse with you on May 27th, 2016, didn't you?
I sure did. I'm a public figure. I brought my publicist in case it blew up.
Now let's give credit where credit is due. That makes perfect sense. You know, if you're going in for court stuff and you're a celebrity, which she was at the time, that you would have something there just in case. I'm willing to go with that. I don't have an issue with that.
In case. And
You
I'm
actually
glad
had
I did.
alerted TMZ that you would be filing a TRO against Mr. Depp that very
No,
day,
I did
didn't
not.
you?
No, I did
The
not.
one day you didn't bother to wear makeup to cover up the mark on your face.
I did not call TMZ or any other news source or paparazzi source. No one.
Well,
I
we
never
heard
did that.
testimony from former TMZ employee Morgan Tremaine yesterday, correct?
Did I hear his testimony?
Yes.
Yes, I was here.
Yeah.
Let's remember that the TMZ guy who himself was putting himself in a very litigious position with TMZ by leaking the source didn't come out and say it, but basically by the way that, you know, the whole thing operates and the fact that he got the video that they're talking about in 15 minutes really leads us to believe that Amber was the one who leaked the video.
And you heard Mr. Tremaine's testimony that he knew to dispatch the paparazzi to the courthouse on May 27th, right?
I heard him say that he knew that, yes.
Yeah, and that he dispatched paparazzi to the courthouse to capture a picture of an alleged bruise on the right side of your face. Do you remember him saying that?
I remember him saying that.
That information must have come from your team, right, Ms. Hurd?
Absolutely not. Why would I want that? What actual survivor of domestic violence wants that?
Exactly. What survivor of domestic abuse would want that? None of them. So, again, we're giving you credit to say it's just in case, but that's not a good thing to say. What survivor would do the thing that I did? Again, the logical conclusion is if I did that, then it means I'm not, what? A domestic abuse survivor.
Now, the video of Mr. Depp beating up some kitchen cabinets, you admit that you took that video, correct?
Yes, I did.
And you acknowledge that the video was released online the day before you were deposed in connection with your divorce from Mr. Depp in August of 2016, right?
I believe it was, yes.
But you testified that you had absolutely nothing to do with the video's release, right?
Absolutely not.
And you testified that you learned about it when you landed after flying into LA. Do you remember that testimony?
Upon touchdown is when I was alerted to the video's
You
existence
heard Mr.
online.
Tremaine testify that about this video as well yesterday, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And you heard Mr. Tremaine testify that TMZ received the cabinet video the same day you landed at LAX. Yes?
I don't know if that's what his testimony was. I'm sorry.
You heard Mr. Tremaine testify that the cabinet video was posted 15 minutes after TMZ received it. Yes?
That's what I heard him say.
And that this could only have been possible if the video was received directly from the source. Yes?
I heard him say that. I don't know if that's true or if that's possible because
And
it
you
didn't come
heard
from me. I was
Mr.
flying.
Tremaine
So
testify.
I know that's incorrect is what I mean to say.
Another liar on the stand.
Convenient for Amber. Just one more liar on the stand and coming out of the woodwork for Johnny. But when everybody else's story adds up and hers is the one that doesn't.
I just know that that's incorrect.
And you heard Mr. Tremaine testify that TMZ owns the copyright to the cabinet video, right?
That's news to me.
The cabinet video you filmed of your then husband. Yes?
Exactly.
The copyright ownership of that is news to me. I learned that yesterday.
It's the cabinet video that you captured of your then husband. Yes?
That is correct. I did capture that video. And
The
yes,
cabinet
that was my
video-
husband.
The same cabinet video that was released the night before you were deposed in your divorce. Yes?
That's correct.
You must have also heard Mr. Tremaine testify that the version of the cabinet video that TMZ received was incomplete compared to the video the jury saw in this trial. Did you hear that?
Remember that yesterday we had an expert witness testify that the files that they got were not just, random pictures. They had been put through editing software. They were on, the metadata showed that they weren't just pictures. We saw also before, which I'm hoping they'll show in this, that the two files side by side, whether or not you can tell there's metadata difference, whatever exactly that would mean, that clearly they are two different pictures. A filter has been put on one. So whatever witness, expert witness for Amber is saying that, nothing has been faked is clearly bullshit because you can see it with your lying eyes that they are not the same picture and that one has been edited to make the bruise on her face look worse.
The video that you have seen is complete.
Right. But the one TMZ got the day before your deposition in the divorce was incomplete.
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
He testified that at the beginning portion of the video where you set up the camera, that wasn't included in the video that TMC received.
I don't know what video TMZ
I'm talking
received.
about Mr. Tremaine's testimony, Ms. Heard. Let's just
So you're
focus on
asking me
Mr.
to
Tremaine.
repeat his testimony?
No, I'm asking you if you recall hearing him say those words to this jury.
Yes,
Under
I
oath.
heard his testimony. We all did.
And he testified at the end of the video where you can be seen smirking. I know you testified earlier that you haven't been smirking in this trial, but you sure were caught on camera smirking in that video.
Camille. This is why I love Camille. Oh man.
Disagree with that.
Was also not included in the TMZ video.
Everyone can watch that video and you can determine whether you think it's funny to me or not.
That's because the video came from you, right, Ms. Heard?
No, it did not.
Perjury.
You
That
edited
video
out
did
the
not come to
portions.
me. I
Ms.
mean, come
Heard,
from me.
Ms. Heard, you edited out the portions that made you look bad before sending it to TMC.
We're
Wow.
very wrong about that.
So
If
that
I
only
wanted to
Mr.
leak
Depp
information, I
looked
could have
bad.
done it in a more effective way, a lot sooner and a lot more.
Because
I
you
was
knew exactly
living
how to
with
do
the
that,
mountain
right?
of this evidence. If I wanted to leak it, I could have done a lot more with it.
There it is. She said that's incorrect or that's not right or whatever it is she just said. And then she goes on, if I wanted to do this, why would I do? How many times have you heard a child lying? Well, if I wanted to do this, why would I even do exactly the thing that I just did that I'm lying about? This is typical. This is typical behavior for somebody who is not telling the truth. And she is, credit to her, she's doubling down after all of these people came through and showed how much of her testimony was just complete bullshit. She's sticking to it. So credit where credit is due.
Look how
But you testified
snarky she
earlier
is.
in this trial that you didn't know how to leak things.
I
Remember
don't.
that?
What?
You edited that video before you gave it to TMZ so that only Mr. Depp would look bad. Yes?
That's absurd.
Right in the middle of your divorce proceedings.
Again, you're very wrong.
I'd like to show you a picture from that's already admitted into evidence. It's Defendant's Exhibit 799.
She doesn't know how to leak a video and she's an actress in Hollywood. The bullshit.
Beautifully stated by lead attorney. There is no way you work in Hollywood and you don't know how to get a video to TMZ. Everybody knows how to, I mean, you send it. What do you mean you don't know how to leak a video? What does that even mean?
This is you at the courthouse on May 27th, 2016, when you got your domestic violence restraining order against Mr. Depp, right?
I just want to say that I have a record of all the photos that Amber showed in her testimony across the trial. And the one that we just saw with that bruise on her face was the most extreme one that we've seen. Maybe discounting the clump of hair out of her head, which again isn't directly tied to Johnny other than circumstantially. We're gonna go ahead and believe that, but for the point being, a random candid shot of her sitting outside the courthouse or the municipal building or whatever is worse than the pictures she took directly after a beating, a pummeling. And we find out that those pictures that were edited, not only on her phone, but moved into an editing software on her computer and edited there as well.
It is.
And next to you is a woman named Jody Gottlieb, right?
Yes.
Jody Gottlieb is your publicist.
And dear friend.
Now I'd like to show you what's been marked as Plaintiff's Exhibit 1316. This is a picture of you and your friend Rocky Pennington, right?
That is correct.
Your Honor, I'd like to move to admit this photograph.
In-
The
Point of
picture
lights.
of you on May 28th, 2016, right, Ms. Heard?
I don't know when this was taken.
Is that
This
her?
is the day after you obtained the domestic violence restraining order against Mr. Depp, right?
I have no idea when this image was taken. I did not take it.
There's no bruise on your face in this picture, is there?
So again, there's no date on that second photo, but according to Camille, the lawyer, that's the same day that we saw from that previous picture where she had, or maybe the day after, where she had the bruise there. So it just so, putting this with her testimony that she didn't know any of the paparazzi or anything would be at the courthouse. She purposely didn't wear makeup so that the bruise would show. And the very next day, when she does know she's going to be in public and she has nothing she's already got the restraining order, it's all covered up. We're good.
Again, I don't know when this was taken. And also I'm outside. I was obviously wearing makeup. I have no idea when this was taken. So I have no idea if I can
Let's
speak to
refresh your
what
recollection.
bruise you can see
Let's
or not.
refresh your recollection about when this picture was taken.
Woo! Camille coming in with the receipts.
Can we please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 1315? just for
Jesus
the witness?
Christ. This is exactly why Kevin Samuel said, don't
This is
marry
an
an
article
attorney.
dated May
Shout out to TLA. Shout out to Kevin Samuels. RIP the late, great Kevin Samuels. Don't marry an attorney.
30th, 2016, right, Ms. Heard?
That's what it says. Yes.
And this article contains the same photograph of you and Ms. Pennington we were just looking at. Yes?
Yes, I see that.
And the article is entitled Amber Heard Smiles as She Puts Arm Around Friend One Day After Getting Restraining Order Against Johnny Depp. Is that what the title says?
I know that's what the title says. Yes.
Your Honor,
Wow.
I'm going to move to admit and publish the article with everything but the headline and date and the photo redacted.
Objection, Your Honor. That's inconsistent from the way we treated all of these.
I'll sustain the objection. All right, next question.
Oh,
Let's
she
take
couldn't
a
get the photo
Look at
in.
picture.
Apparently, there was a picture that Johnny's team was trying to get admitted into evidence for the jury. Apparently, they're looking at it, but I guess that Camille lost that motion, and the jury's not looking at it.
Plaintiff's Exhibit 1317.
This is what they were arguing about, how much latitude Camille gets. This is
This
why
is also a
Kevin.
picture of you and Miss Pennington on May 28th, 2016, isn't it?
I don't know when this photo was taken, but it looks like the same outing as the picture prior.
Your Honor, I'm going to move to admit and publish Plaintiff's Exhibit 1317.
Any objection?
No, Your
All
Honor.
right, 1317 in evidence, you can publish.
Jesus, this is why Kevin
There's no
Samuel
bruise
said,
on your face in this picture either, right?
I disagree. If it is
oh
taken
my
when you
God.
represent it was taken, then obviously there's a bruise on my face. It's covered by makeup as per usual.
Let's zoom out of that picture for a moment, please. Thanks, Tom. That's Josh Drew in this picture, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And Miss Pennington
That is correct.
in there too?
That
Ms.
is correct.
Pennington submitted a sworn statement on your behalf in support of your domestic violence restraining order, didn't she?
I believe she did, yes.
Mr. Drew also submitted a statement in support of your domestic violence restraining order.
I believe they both did, yes. Mhm.
Mr. Drew, I'd like to show you Defendant's Exhibit 512, which is already in evidence. You've seen this photograph before, right?
I have.
On the second day of your direct testimony, you testified that this was taken in the downstairs of the main apartment on December 15th, 2015. Do you recall that testimony?
Yes, I believe so.
So it's your testimony that Defendant's Exhibit 512 reflects damage to Penthouse 5 that occurred during the December 15th, 2015 incident. Yes?
I'm not quite sure from what incident this is when I see this photo in a vacuum without context.
Let's give you that context.
Oh.
Camille coming in with more receipts. Let's see it.
Could you please turn first to page 4585, specifically on starting on line 16, where it says, let's talk about December 15th, 2015. Line 16, where it says, let's talk about December 15th, 2015. Do you see that?
Yes.
And then do you see that your testimony about December 15th, 2015 follows?
Let's see. It's just the first line or two. Yes.
Now I'd like you to turn to page 4603,
Damn, Camille is on her nigga
starting at
head.
line 12.
Get her, Camille.
4603. Starting at line 12 and going on to page 4604, line 4.
Okay.
And do you see that you testify that Defendant's Exhibit 512, which is on the screen,
Yes,
is a picture of the downstairs of the main apartment?
that's correct.
And the main apartment is Penthouse 5 in the Eastern Columbia building, right?
No, well, depends on what, the main apartment's penthouse 3 generally when we say main apartment.
Penthouse 5 was where you had your closet?
The downstairs was kind of like had some of my painting studio set up and a reception area. Upstairs was the closet.
Got it.
Mezzanine office was in between.
All right, so it's your testimony that Defendant's Exhibit 512 reflects damage to the penthouse, Penthouse 5, that occurred during the December 15th, 2015 incident, right?
I'm just not sure from which incident this is a picture of, since I'm only looking at
Even
a
though your
partial
counsel
floor.
was asking you questions about December 15th, 2015, and then admitted this picture into evidence
Again,
in
in
relation to
isolation.
that incident,
Sorry, go ahead.
in relation to that incident on December 15th, 2015. This exhibit, Defendant's Exhibit, you are the defendant, number 512, was admitted into evidence in this court. You testified that this was the result of damage that occurred on December 15th, 2015. Yes or no?
I just need to orient myself because I'm just looking at a picture of a partial
No,
picture of a
Ms. Heard, you
floor,
didn't just
so
look
I
at a
can't.
picture. You looked at your testimony.
You pointed me towards the page and then asked me a question. I haven't actually reviewed it. I don't know if this was submitted in relation to that incident.
Now, this is pretty interesting because, you know, Amber has a good point. She threw a line at her. She got the wrong page. I may have cut that out, but she went on the wrong page. And then she was just like, can you look at your testimony? And then here's the picture. And then she's asking her about it. And then she's like, I don't really know what this is about. I remember talking about it. I remember this picture, but I don't understand the context. I need to refresh my memory. So I think that's fair enough.
Let's pull up, let's actually leave up Defendant's 512 and please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 725,
Camille is on that ass. Shout out to Darius.
which is already in evidence
Thank you.
in redacted form, Your Honor,
All right,
Jesus
thank you. You can publish.
just side by side. You've seen this photograph as well, right?
I have.
On the third day of your direct testimony, you testified that this photograph reflected spilled wine in Penthouse 5 on May 21st, 2016, didn't you?
Again, I don't know because I'm looking at a partial picture of a floor. So unless you remove the metadata you've covered up, we could then tell. If you
I didn't cover it up, Your Honor.
Could we unredact
Your
it
Honor
then
did.
so we could get context?
Oh, honey. Oh, Amber. Why are you acting like metadata is going to help you learn anything about this picture? That was, you messed up. You had a good point. You had a good point. I was on your side for that. Like, okay, this is a random picture from years of toxic relationship stuff. I don't expect you to know it off the top of your head. But the metadata, you're going to all of a sudden know what a picture is because of the metadata? Come on.
That's how it's in evidence.
That's how it's in evidence.
Next
Well,
question.
the metadata next to it is so that
Ms.
to
Heard,
avoid this
Ms.
sort of
Heard,
confusion.
Now she's trying to just directly talk to the jury. Like, I don't know if you've noticed this, and it's not uncommon, especially for a defendant, to, when they are getting questions from the lawyer, to listen to that and then turn, or I might be, turn to the jury and talk to the jury directly. You've seen other people do it, you know, here and there, but Amber, every single question, she's like listening to the question, boom, and delivers her answer. Even if she has to go back, one word answer, straight to the jury. I'm sure that her team has instructed her to do this, but when you overdo it, it's clear that you're purposely doing it, and you're not just talking to them because, oh, these are the people that I'm talking to. I want you guys to hear my story. That's what the message you want to come across when you're talking directly to the jury. But when you're aiming everything that you're saying and you're literally having a conversation with the lawyer and you're aiming everything you say at the jury, looks a little shady.
No questions, thank you, and I would appreciate it if you would be making argument to the jury.
Sorry, I
It's
thought
been
you would
a
ask me about it.
She's fighting
No, I didn't ask you
Camille.
about anything.
And let's be clear, they are fighting. This is far and away one of the most exciting parts of this trial.
Let's look at your direct testimony from the third day, specifically line 16. Do you see that you're testifying that defendant's exhibit 725, which is reflected on the right side, reflects spilled wine on the floor in penthouse 5?
That's correct.
Okay, and defendant's exhibit 512 and 725 seem to be different versions of the same picture, don't they?
That's correct.
So which is it? Which one was taken on December 15th, 2015, or May 21st, 2016?
If you remove the redacted metadata, you can find out.
Back to the metadata. Come on, Amber.
Oh.
It's right there.
Or if you're telling the truth, you would know.
Oh, or if you're telling the truth, then you wouldn't have to be reminded. Good point, Camille.
Recognize a portion of spilled wine on a floor, and I'm supposed to know off the top of my head when you've
No.
lived through 5 years of this stuff? I don't think so. That's not how that works.
And again, that is not an invalid point. The whole story is that this has been going on, and we've seen that there has been toxicity on both sides. And so to just show her a picture of wine, again, I say that's reasonable to say I don't remember exactly where that's from. But the level of defensiveness that she's showing and the level of snark that she's showing is not doing her any favors. Even if she were telling the truth, which she's not. But even if she was, that would not be helping her with the jury.
Thank you, Tom. Ms. Heard, at the beginning of your cross-examination
Your
last
Honor, may
week,
we approach?
Yes.
Oh my God, they are going at it. They are going at it. Amber is 100% doubling down. 100% doubling down. Super snarky, not giving an inch.
And then I'm going to cut a little bit more out. The attorneys approach the bench and getting back into it.
She's saying she can't recognize a picture
Ladies and
of.
gentlemen in the gallery, I would ask that there be no words or no phrases, no words, no sounds at all coming from you. If I hear one more sound, I will clear the gallery and we will continue this testimony without anybody in the courtroom.
Oh
Understood?
my God.
Good. All right.
Whew, the judge is getting tired of people making noise in the gallery. Everybody who's there for the shit show and just watching for entertainment, I guess they're really enjoying it. So am I.
Well, we don't care because we on.
Ms.
we
Heard,
on
at the
the
beginning of
stream.
your cross-examination last week, I showed you an audio where you told Mr. Depp to tell the jury, tell the judge, tell the world that he is a victim of domestic abuse. Do you remember that?
All right, getting into the actual testimony, the actual words. Let's see where Camille goes with this. I am very excited to hear this.
That's correct.
And you testified you found it hard to believe that Mr. Depp would tell the world that he's a victim of domestic abuse, didn't you?
I said I find it hard to believe that he would do that knowing that he himself had beat me up for 5 years.
But he has told the world that he's your victim of domestic abuse, hasn't he?
Well, he started to say that only recently. He didn't make that claim up until very recently. So when we signed our divorce agreement and we signed a statement saying that neither party had ever said false claims for financial gain, it was relevant and important to me because I was the only one making the accusations. I was the only one making those claims. He wasn't doing that at the time.
Didn't make that claim until recently. I wonder if that has to do with the fact that you were just this angel before that? Or maybe there's a problem in society with men talking about how they've been abused in their relationships, especially with women, as you alluded to in the tape that we heard. Tell the world that you're an abuse victim, Johnny. Let the judge and jury hear you. Well, now you got exactly what they asked for. Now you got exactly what they asked for. A judge and a jury and the rest of the world is watching as you admitted to this.
And he signed his name to it.
You didn't expect as many people to show up and testify on his behalf that did you?
Incorrect.
When you told this jury under oath that you never assaulted, actually, strike that. When you told this jury under oath that you punched Mr. Depp because you thought of Mr. Depp pushing Kate Moss down the stairs, you didn't expect Ms. Moss to agree to testify that never happened, did you?
Wow.
Incorrect. I know how many people will come out of the woodwork to be in support of Johnny.
So you
It's
think
clear
Ms.
by this
Moss
courtroom
needs
how
to
many
come
people
out
will
of the
do that.
woodwork to testify for Mr. Depp?
Kate Moss was in the woodwork. Who? Kate Moss who? Yeah, she's coming out of the woodwork. Like, she didn't even know that she was going to be there. The only reason there was a clip circulating that when Amber Heard in her originally direct testimony brought up Kate Moss and as a reason as to why she felt like she could defensively hit Johnny is because she quote unquote knew of the fact that Johnny had pushed Kate Moss down a set of stairs. Well, what happens? I believe it was yesterday morning. Kate Moss comes in on a deposition or on a Zoom call and says, nope, that never happened. I fell and Johnny took care of me. Whoops.
Everybody who was around in the 90s and the early aughts knew that rumor. I had heard that rumor from multiple people. Of course, that's what flashed through my head when my violent husband not only swung for me, but all of a sudden swung for my sister. Of course, I thought of that. I did not expect her to show up or not expect her to show up. It didn't matter. It doesn't change what I believed at the time when we were on the stairs and I thought he was going to kill my sister by pushing her down the stairs.
All right, that is fair. The rumor was going around, and before this case, I don't know that we had any, I mean, I definitely could be wrong, but I don't know if anybody was on record saying that it didn't happen. So in the moment, if you are operating under the belief that Johnny did push Kate Moss down the stairs, and you're in a situation where Johnny's getting angry, and specifically when you're protecting somebody else, that does make sense. So again, we want to give credit where credit is due. That is logical. Very little bit of logic, based on a lie, but it is logical.
You told this jury under oath that Mr. Depp was aggressive and trashed a trailer in Hicksville. You didn't expect the manager of the Hicksville property, Morgan Knight, to come forward and testify that that was untrue, did you?
Incorrect. I've already been through trials with this man. I know how many people will come out in support of him.
When you told this jury under oath that you had no idea that the paparazzi would be at the courthouse on May 27th, 2016, you didn't expect a TMZ employee to show up to testify that TMZ had been alerted that you would be at the courthouse and knew exactly which side of your face to take a picture of, did you?
I know how many people will come out and say whatever for him.
Again, talking about people coming out of the woodwork to support Johnny, as if anybody who has anything positive to say about Johnny is lying. That's, I mean, okay, if you want to believe that, but the reality of this many people coming into a court of law, swearing under oath, and then lying about this man just for 15 minutes of fame or just for whatever else, doesn't really hold water.
That's his power. That's why I wrote this op-ed, is I was speaking to that phenomenon. How many people will come out in support of him and will fall to his power? He is a very powerful man and people love currying favor with powerful men.
Okay, so this is what really bugs me. Because, fine, fair. I understand, you know, especially with the Weinstein, the Me Too, all of that stuff. We definitely showed in society that powerful men can get away with things that other people cannot. And that's horrible, and that should not be the case. We saw a lot of those victims come out bravely and speak out against very powerful people who could make their lives miserable. But that's not what this is, Amber. This is you taking those women's trauma and using it to your own gain to conflate what really happened to you and try to get this man's money because nobody really likes you. And you're a fucking narcissist. And you think that everything is about you, and then if Johnny doesn't stay in the room while you're smacking him around, that you're being abused. That is what is happening here. That is what's happening here.
And I know that
and
firsthand. I've
risking
lived
jail
it.
time for committing perjury?
Excuse me? I didn't hear your
You
question.
didn't hear
Excuse
my
me?
question?
Ms. Vasquez, if you do
Curry.
mind, please just repeat the question. I didn't hear you.
And Amber, this snarkiness is not looking good for you. I would take a chill pill.
Curry favor and commit perjury in this courtroom
I have
for
seen
a
people
powerful
do this.
man?
I have seen people do this time and time again. That's why I wrote the op-ed.
You
Who's
didn't
done it?
expect Ben King, the house manager in Australia, to show up from England. He flew from England to testify that Mr. Depp's fingertip was found exactly where he said it would be. Did you?
I have never heard Johnny testify to knowing where his finger was, or really, frankly, making a claim that he knew where it was when it was found. I've never heard Johnny claim that.
You didn't expect
Johnny,
Keenan
doesn't-
Wyatt.
Johnny has never
Ms.
actually
Heard.
said that.
Ms. Heard.
And
I think the
Ben
jury
King,
can,
yes.
Ms. Heard, there's no question pending. You didn't expect Keenan Wyatt, Mr. Depp's longtime sound technician, to show up and testify that Mr. Depp is not being fed lines through his earpieces, but instead music, did you?
Not that it matters much, but of course I did. I know how his employees treat him.
So you
I know how
probably-
his team treats him. Of course I expected that.
Okay, so you probably expected Isaac Baruch to come and testify for Mr. Depp, right?
I'm not sure I thought about that.
Yeah, but you didn't expect Mr. Baruch to weep for Mr. Depp after what you've put him through and so many others with your lies.
I
did you?
relate to Isaac because he and I are
There's
the
no
only
further
ones who
questions, Your
cried
Honor.
on this stand.
Beautiful job, Camille. Bringing out that question about how the other witness who was weeping, a man was weeping on the stand, seeing what he had seen Johnny go through. And now, she was ready, Amber was ready to twist the story. I understand, Isaac. I understand why he would be so upset. There's so much that this man has put everybody through. But Camille did a great job of cutting her off and not letting her spill out what? More lies.
Woo! Camille lit that ass up.
So we could definitely end the video there. That was the cross-examination, but I wanted to include the redirect from Amber's lawyers. So before where we've jumped in today, Amber was already on the stand and her lawyers were talking to her in direct testimony, just kind of going over everything that has been refuted and frankly debunked in the last couple days. Now Amber was back on the stand saying, doubling down on everything that they did. Not super interesting, but now that Camille's gone in and crossed her the way that she just did, I really want to take a look at the redirect. So now Amber's lawyers are coming back in to directly ask about all that stuff that we just watched.
Your Honor. Ms. Heard, if Mr. Baruch felt misled, who misled him?
Again, they're talking about the guy who was weeping on the stand, and again, she got her ability to spin the narrative. What are you gonna do?
Johnny, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him from crying. This is horrible.
Ms. Vasquez has suggested that you faked bruises on your face. Is that true?
Absolutely not. I didn't need to.
Did you ever fake an injury caused by Mr. Depp?
No,
Is any of the evidence of your injuries that has been put to the jury in this trial fake?
no, absolutely not.
And to the extent that there may be some confusion over when a picture of spilled wine was taken, why might that be?
Objection,
Because there's so
lack of
many-
foundation.
Overruled.
Because there's so
Yet again, notice how she picks up right where she left off. She started the line, there was the objection, she picked up right where she left.
many incidents of violence. There's so many pictures. There's so much evidence. Most people don't have this kind of evidence for years, 5 years.
Again, decent point. Same point that was made before that I'm giving her credit for, but it was, it didn't, in the grand scheme of this whole testimony, it doesn't really do much. But that is a valid point. That is a valid point, that if you have all of these photos from all of these incidents, then mixing them up is a reasonable thing to do. Credit where credit is due.
And when I was saying that to Johnny on the phone in that recording, I was saying for years, this has been going on. And I have pictures, we have texts, we have everything. Normally you don't get this amount of evidence. That's what I was pointing out to Johnny. It would be crazy to try to challenge this in this way. It's crazy. It's easy to not know the context of a picture of spilled wine because there are so many more important details, pictures, and also so much I didn't photograph, so much I didn't have the presence. of
Objection,
mind.
non-responsive.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Did Mr. Depp abuse you physically?
Yes.
Here's where things get a little bit interesting, because we have seen evidence, circumstantial at best, but we have seen evidence that abuse has gone both ways. It's very clear that no matter what exactly happened, neither of these people are completely innocent. But the the crux of the case is really the way that things were represented in the original op-ed that Amber wrote, and describing herself as a domestic abuse survivor, and saying, putting it in such a way that she was this a victim when she wasn't instigating all of these things. And so we're not really here to say that Johnny is completely innocent. Johnny is a great guy. Johnny is doing all of these things. Even though a significant amount of the video or audio that we heard from Amber directly was them being in a heated conversation, which is all fair game, but Johnny trying to leave the situation and then Amber manipulating him emotionally to stay in the situation to the point at which she was getting violent, and then there may or may not have been mutual combat on the way back. So, it's not necessarily incorrect that she has, quote unquote, been abused, depending on how much you want to use that language and how far you want to take that. That's fair. This was not a healthy relationship by any stretch of the imagination. But that's not what this trial is directly about. It is about whether Johnny Depp's character was defamed by the op-ed that she wrote.
God.
Verbally,
Yes.
emotionally,
Yes.
psychologically.
Yes.
How did the threats that Mr. Depp made against you individually years ago resemble what you've endured as a result of the Depp-Waldman statements?
Beyond the scope of cross, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Johnny promised me he would ruin me, that he'd ruin my career, he'd take my life from me. Death was the only way out. And if I got out, this is what he'd do to me. He'd make me think of him every single day. He promised me global humiliation. You saw those texts?
And why would somebody want to do that? Somebody with everything in the world. He's got all the money, he's got all the friends, he's got all the coke. And for some reason, he's sticking with you. And then after everything, of course, he's going to say, you're never going to get it. He's the one who got you the Aquaman job in the first place. He's the only reason that you are relevant. Now, that doesn't mean that it's okay to spend the rest of your life trying to ruin somebody else's, but it sure as shit isn't illegal as long as you're not doing anything that's illegal. So, makes sense to me. If I was in an argument, we've all been there. We've all been in these heated conversations where A, we say things that we don't necessarily mean, and B, we're so engulfed in emotion and passion that, we say things that we feel in the moment, but don't ever necessarily intend to carry out. So, and we've seen how dramatic it is when Johnny speaks. We looked at his text messages, we've looked at his emails, and we see that he pontificates like he's a poet, even in private correspondence. So, how much water does that really hold?
What he couldn't do, the work of one individual, meaning Johnny, when he was inviting a disgruntled employee over for a spot of purple to fix my flabby ass up, that revenge that he sought back then was just what he could do as an individual, calling the studio to get me fired, trying to block him.
Objection, Your Honor. Lack of foundation, speculation, hearsay,
all in
non-responsive.
I'll sustain this non-response.
Ms. Hart, how did those things that you just testified to that Mr. Depp did, how did those resemble what happened to you after the Depp-Waldman counterclaim statements were made?
Those are
Objection, Your
just,
Honor. Lack of foundation.
She's
Overruled.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
those are just an echo.
Notice something very, very important. The question was asked, and Amber started her answer. Then there was an objection. It was overruled, so Amber got to continue, but she picked up exactly where she left off. The exact word, the exact inflection. Again, it doesn't mean that, you'd be naive to think that they didn't go over, both sides of this didn't go over the testimony and go over what they were going to say beforehand. But the level of rehearsal that this seems to implicate is way higher. And then you, of course, add in the fact that these are famous actors. You make up your mind about what that means.
Of what I'm living through today. It's like what I'm living in right now. What you see in this courtroom is an echo. This courtroom and the other courtroom he dragged me into to do the same thing again. That's just an echo of the violence and the abuse that I suffered within our relationship. the campaigns to have me fired, the blocking me to try to ruin my career, the threats he's made to humiliate me globally are being lived out in real time in front of you, ladies and gentlemen, for the past 6 weeks.
Oh my
and for the whole
gosh.
world since our camera's here.
No further questions.
She's
Thank you so
talking
much,
to the
Amber.
jury.
Sir, you can have a seat.
All right, so that's the last we will hear from Amber Heard in this trial. They are done for the day. They are done with arguments. The defense has rested. The prosecution has rested. All that's left is some procedural stuff, and then it goes to the jury. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens with this case. But that's it, guys. That being said, the trial is not over, so make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and ring that bell so you can see when the new videos are coming out, because there is more that will be coming out about this trial, and more that will be coming out that has nothing to do with this trial. That's just awesome content. So make sure you subscribe, ring that bell. If you could do me a favor, hit that like button on the way out. What did you think about all this? What do you think about Amber's testimony? What do you think about Johnny's testimony? What do you think about the number of people who came out in support of Johnny Depp, and the number of people who came out for Amber, and the quality of support for the original testimony from either side? You know, we saw a lot of people coming out for Amber, but their stories were pieced together and not everything was matched up, versus Johnny's witnesses. They all seem to have the exact same story from independently from different places, and it all seemed to carry out virtually in the same way. We don't know for sure what happened. None of us were there. But we have pictures, we have recordings, we have all of this testimony from not only the two people involved, but people who were witnesses, the bodyguards, the personal assistants, all of that kind of stuff. And it seems pretty clear to me, but I want to know what you guys think. So let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to catch me in the next one. Peace.